Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hello.
This is Job Shopper, where we take job seekers struggling in their job search and transform them into irresistible candidates. You will have the opportunity to land a job at the end of this.
Good.
Wow. I'm Madeline Mann, a human resources leader and job search expert who's credited for helping hundreds of thousands of people land their dream job. If you're ready, you will be put in front of an executive recruiter, but I only have 3 invitations. Al. Get it out.
I have a lot of passion for what I do. I have passion for people.
Steve.
My experience has been in a number of different industries. I'm looking for an employer that values that.
Stephanie.
I'm gonna walk in with confidence into the interview.
Huge congratulations to you 3. Your assignment tonight, send an email to Rory Verrett. That is who you're going to be interviewing with. I want you to introduce yourself and over a short video, say what job you will be interviewing for tomorrow.
I just couldn't be more excited about this.
I feel really great today. I have a kind of a renewed sense of energy.
I am feeling excited, ready to take on this challenge for today.
I'm feeling a bit nervous, but I'm feeling ready. I'm extremely excited about the possibilities.
Hello.
Hello,
Good
good morning.
to see you.
Too.
So today's the day. There's 2 big opportunities that are happening today. The first is you could land a job. You'll be meeting with Rory Verrett, who is an executive recruiter and the managing partner of Protégé Search. And he is hired for every major company, you name it. The NFL, Pinterest, Peloton, Boeing, the New York Times, all across the board. And if you are the last person standing, he will represent you. Now, the second piece is you're going to finally get feedback on your job interview, something that we never get in the job search process. And you're going to learn how to speak to your value and be a job shopper in any market.
I am so happy to receive feedback on my interview. This rarely happens. That really fuels me to prepare as best as I can.
If you are going to walk into this room, own it, be that job shopper, you need to come in with taking it a step above, right? If every effort you make that moment matter. Last night you had the opportunity to send a video to Rory. That was a moment you could have won this whole thing.
Hi, Mr. Verrett. My name is Al Salerno, and I'm going to be applying for the IT position tomorrow. I look forward to meeting you and discussing why I'm the perfect candidate for this job.
Hi Rory, my name is Stephanie Tam. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I am applying for a people operations partner role, and my goal is to make an impact on the employee experience every single day. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Rory. My name is Steve Lake from Omaha, Nebraska. My goal is to work as a director of facilities for a tech company in the Omaha area.
We gave you access to the recruiter and gave you the first impression. I mean, how do you feel like you took advantage of that opportunity?
It took me a number of takes, a lot of takes, before I felt comfortable with it. But it said what I needed it to say.
I think I did fantastic in the video I sent to Rory. I was very confident, really focused on exactly what I was here for.
I added a personal touch and I made sure that my personality came through in my introduction.
I saw the videos. Pretty much you just said, hi, this is me, this is the job I'm going for. We have to do more than that, right? This was a moment where all 3 of you did that. One of you could have, boom, powed him right in the face. Did anyone Google Rory?
I did.
I looked him up. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been great to include in your video, right? Rory, I heard you live here, that I've been there before, I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Madeline said such great things. Boom, rapport building.
People hire who they like, plain and simple. So rapport building is crucial. Be sure to research the people who you're going to be speaking with and focus on making the interaction more of a relationship than a transaction.
If you three did the research on Rory, why didn't that show up in the video?
I was trying to keep it to what we were asked to do.
This is a really important point that I think so many job seekers hit, is that I did exactly what they told me to do.
Yeah.
Why didn't I get the job? You all followed the directions to a T, but you missed out on an opportunity.
Job shoppers have the biggest success in the job search because they aren't confined by the rules. They don't apply online and hope their application gets chosen. Instead, they are proactive about meeting the team. They don't wait weeks after an interview wondering what's next in the process. They instead continue building the relationship and getting answers.
I want to make sure Rory doesn't chew you up and spit you out. So I want you to go in with a mission of what you want the recruiter to learn about you. This is a secret to acing an interview. Okay, so I want you to think about right now your top 3 accomplishments, and they must be extremely relevant to the role you told Rory you're going for. And your goal is that you integrate those 3 accomplishments into your interview answers any means possible.
You have to shift your mindset in the job interview from trying to answer whatever they ask to the best of your ability to going in with a plan and a message and purposefully and elegantly guiding the conversation in that direction. Having top 3 relevant accomplishments in mind is a great place to start.
You need to treat this like a press conference. If you've ever seen a press conference, the player's asked a question and he or she might answer it, but then they answer it with other details. And that's what I really want you to do, is provide those examples. Don't just see the question at face value, but add those additional insights, those things you've done in the past, your accomplishments. We want specifics. We don't want to hear you guys describing yourself as, I'm collaborative, I'm hardworking, I'm seasoned. I can infer all of those things from you giving those specifics.
Candidates are instantly more likely to land a job interview if they are highly specific in the interview. That means stop speaking in generalities and philosophies about the way you work and instead give concrete examples.
Let's rock it. Ah, Rory.
How are you?
Welcome, so good. All right, this is the crew.
Hi, Rory, I'm Steve Blake.
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Hi, good morning. I'm Stephanie Tam. Nice to meet you,
Stephanie,
Rory.
nice to meet you.
Rory, Al Salerno.
Nice to meet you, Al. Nice to meet all 3 of you. So I'm the managing partner of Protégé Search. We're one of the leading executive search firms in the world. We operate in Europe and the United States, and we represent companies in media, technology, consumer goods, sports. You name the industry, we have represented them and found extraordinary candidates for them. Now, I know Madeline has prepared you well, so I'm expecting some great storytelling, some self-aware candidates, and people that are ready to take their career to the next level. My clients deserve the best, and that's what I'm looking for today. So I'm excited to talk to each one of you. Are we ready to get started?
I think we are. Yeah, let's do it.
I want to make sure that I'm in the best state of mind and best frame of mind to really express to him exactly what I can do, what I'm capable of.
I just want to make sure that the best version of me that comes out with Rory would be a confident interviewer.
For me, it's about clarity. What's required for this position, for this company at this time?
During these interviews with Rory, I will be listening in. I'll be taking notes and ready to give feedback after.
My biggest fear or anxiety is really that I'm just not going to be my best version of myself. How are you?
Albert, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Rory Verrett, Protégé Search.
Very nice to meet you. Wasn't sure if you had a copy of my resume, but I see you do.
I do. This is going to be an interview that might be a little bit similar to interviews you've had before, but it might be a little bit different. For example, I don't really worry about the resume. So thank you for having it with you. I read it before you got here, and I've got some questions.
Absolutely.
So first, just tell me why you're here.
Well, I want to start that off with a rhetorical question. How do you feel about the people that support your IT? Statistically, most people don't appreciate their IT staff. And that's usually because they have all kinds of pitfalls and all kinds of bottlenecks. The companies that I work for, I'm a IT support manager. My last position, I decreased SLA response time on a typical IT ticket from 3 days to 30 minutes.
What is SLA?
Service level agreement. It's basically a standard on a help desk that determines how long should we take to fix a user's problem.
Okay.
Yeah, good answer.
Random but related question. Who's your favorite musical artist?
Who's my favorite musical artist? I actually is a personal friend of mine.
Okay.
Her name is Lauren Roscoe. When Rory asked me who my favorite music artist was, I think it was a positive moment for me because thinking of her gave me positive vibes to then speak more clearly.
The reason I bring that up is I have this theory about careers, and it's that many of us have a body of work similar to a musical artist. What's your greatest hit as a professional?
My greatest hit as a professional was actually working for a smaller managed service provider, which entrusted me to initiate a Citrix environment. Okay, Citrix is a
Make it plain for me.
a way for people to communicate, get their applications, and work remotely from multiple locations while all having those resources in one central location.
Gotcha.
Rory was great in terms of his feedback. I appreciated the feedback so that I could re-clarify my answers.
So let's segue into your biggest failure. What was the hit that flopped?
The very first time I tried to be a one-man IT department. The lessons were a lot more painful to a smaller business owner.
What did you learn from that experience? Does that thread go through your career and you go back to that and say, I remember that, I'm not gonna let that happen?
Absolutely. And the common thread in that, and I think in all IT, is standards and practices. The way that we set up computers has to be uniform across an entire organization.
Interesting.
Reading the body language made me feel that I was kind of knocking it out of the park.
One thing though I see on your resume that gives me a little bit of pause is short stints. If I were to represent you, if our firm were to represent you, how do we explain the short stints?
Absolutely. Some of the changes in my job were not made by my own decision. They were made either financially by a company not able to sustain that employment due to their situation, or me trying to find the best way to maintain my career. My resume.
So hold on. You don't have a single experience that's 2 years or less that's not because of a performance issue with you.
Correct. I consider myself, Roy, a unicorn.
The self-described unicorn. This is a first.
Rory wants to get real about Al's past, and Al is sensationalizing it instead of being genuine.
My previous managers would consider me a cooler. I got the worst of the worst clients. I would deal with that person's technology issues because nobody else wanted to. So I feel that I'm very flexible to work with any type of personality. And I know it sounds, very...
It sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I would say that at this point in my career, you're actually getting the best version of me.
Rory is not buying what Al is selling, and Al is doubling down.
So Al, as we wrap up, any questions you have for me?
What type of organizations do you represent?
We've worked in the tech sector, we've worked in consumer products, financial services. We're even working with a tech company out of Africa. So it's a global client list, and we're trying to make sure we match a candidate that has an inflection point in their career with a business inflection point at a company or organization. As I tell our clients, we're trying to return a lost member of their tribe to them.
I like that.
Well, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to possibly working together.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I just had my interview and I thought it went fantastic. Regardless of the outcome, this is something that I could really put in my back pocket and carry with me to take the confidence to bring it to any other opportunity.
So Al was interesting. I think he started off trying to give the perfect answer to every single question. And that worked pretty well for the first 10 minutes, but I really wanted to see the real Al come out. And I think in the second part of the interview is when he gave really authentic answers. But the first 10 minutes, I think, were a little robotic.
My My preparation for interviews, I like to spend time documenting the PAR responses, as Madeline calls them. This is where you describe the problem, you describe what action you took, and then what result came of it.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Rory Verrett. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Stephanie, I have some questions that I think get at your competencies to be a high potential HR leader. So let's start off with, what's your superpower?
My superpower is going to be organization. And I've demonstrated that specifically at Apple, where I led a program to have a culture roadshow. So this was specifically important because over the past 3 years in that organization, they actually welcomed 60% of new hires. This project was something that employees had the opportunity to attend and bring their opinions and provide feedback to the executives directly. At the end, they mentioned that having that in-person connection was pivotal.
Yeah, that was a good answer.
Having the story toolbox, as Madeline calls it, is very helpful, and just depending on the question that is posed, I'm able to pull from those examples.
All right, let's pivot a little bit. The last 5 years in HR have been the most disruptive.
Yes.
COVID, remote working, Black Lives Matter. For your next role, how do you address some of the PTSD, some of the stress that employees have had?
Specifically at Credible, I did work on an initiative. We were listening in to employees during their exit interviews, and we noticed a trend where 30% felt burnout and they were overworked. So I made the proposal that we have a company shutdown, and we were able to have that company shutdown at the end of the year.
Her energy's low. Like she just keeps, I'm not seeing the passion. I'm not hearing the passion. It's just very neutral.
So I guess the big question I have is, this number of years into your career, why are you not at the director level in HR?
You know, at the University of Virginia, I was an HR business partner, and it was a director level role.
Okay.
So I don't shy away from the strategic, but I think that I thrive in the hands-on approach. And I do have a passion for being in the operations of the business.
Wait a minute, so you're saying that you want to stay in the operations, you don't want to be primarily strategic? That's part of the answer? That's part of the rationale?
I think that I'm able to bring the strategic perspective because of my 14 years of experience. I'm able to think about things differently than I think a typical project manager or somebody newer into the role.
Wow, lost me a little bit there.
I am now led to believe that there's nothing that says you haven't been a director because maybe I wasn't the right fit for this organization.
Yeah, if you look at my experience and the progression that I've made, I've only ever transitioned while still having a prior role.
That brings up another set of questions then, which is, not to cast aspersions on millennials, but you know the rap on millennials is you guys can't stay in a job more than 2 or 3 years.
Rory is hitting her up with the questions.
Let's say Protégé Search finds you this amazing opportunity that checks every box. What confidence will this client have that you're gonna stay 5 years? Because my theory with you is that you're sharp, you've got a great resume. When you don't like something, you take your marbles and you go home. Tell me why that's not the case.
Yeah, that is not the case because this next stage in my life is where I would like to, select that company, select that role, and make it be for the long term.
I'm moderately persuaded by that, but we're gonna move on. All right, you're off the hot seat. What questions do you have for me?
For people that have been successful in landing a position similar to this, what are some of the skill sets that you see in them?
I think it's that tension. I think it's the tension between having the confidence of the rank and file in an organization while also being a great business partner to business leaders and functional leaders in the organization. That is a high wire act, and a lot of people fall off, and there's no net. Well, Stephanie, this has been great. I feel like it's been a very interesting conversation, and I look forward to the possibility of representing you.
Thank you, Rory. I'm feeling relieved it's over. Obviously looking back, there's always things that you would have done differently, but overall, I was satisfied with my responses.
I thought overall she interviewed really well. I thought she had great examples. She was obviously self-aware. She could pull out of her discography those greatest hits with some manner of ease. I also found it interesting, her answers about the director question. Someone that qualified with that background, with these companies and the academic credentials, she should be a director right now. Maybe she's chosen the wrong companies, but there's something there.
I'm nervous prior, but when I go in, I'm not. I'm not nervous because, you know what, I'm just gonna be myself, and if that's what they want, then that's what they'll get.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How was your trip in?
Easy. It's great to land here in beautiful weather.
That's awesome. So, tell me why you're here.
I'm here because I'm ready for more. I'm ready to be a director of facilities at a tech company. I've already been a facilities and administrative services manager for about 8 years now. Right now, I'm operations manager for Rocky Mountain Camper Vans. And I established really early on that there was a need to revamp some of our processes. I looked at how we checked the vehicles out. What I did was make this process a remote pickup. And after that, we saved about 700 man hours.
Wow, it's a lot.
The process is something that I excel at. I think it's a superpower of mine.
Interesting.
I was able to work in some of my other highlights and some of the things that Madeline coached me.
Did I hear you correctly? You're ready to be a director of facilities at a tech company. All right, take me from camper vans to technology.
Of course. Prior to this, the experience with the camper van company, I worked for a large, growing international school of about 800. I was in charge of safety, security, facility management, maintenance, and a number of other functional areas. We had increased our customer satisfaction, or actually I should say student, parent, and faculty satisfaction by 27%. So the alignment with tech is that a lot of the same workplace site services are required in the tech industry as are in a school like that.
Steven is rocking this. He is confident while authentic. He's the kind of coworker you want.
You hinted at your superpower. What's your kryptonite? What's the scenario with you as a facilities manager where you're like, I am not good in that setting?
Well, there was one situation where it was a major project. I was working with a vendor whose grasp of English wasn't very good. He was having some trouble acquiring a certain part. Well, he communicated that to me, and then I went and I found the part and I ordered the part, but I ordered the wrong part. So, so the project plan was delayed. It taught me that you need to verify. Rory is amazing at interviewing, and he will take the interview in directions that you're not expecting.
Tell me, when you walk out of your current organization, what walks out with you that they are going to have a hard time to replace?
I don't think they would hesitate to say that I'm the best employee they've ever had.
That's a high compliment to give yourself.
Best employee ever? Okay.
I believe they would say that. I manage the entire front end of the business, customer experience from tip to tail.
Why would you leave?
Because I can do so much more. Tech is the absolute next step for me.
So you're telling me that if English Premier League calls Protégé Search and is looking for a facilities manager, don't call you. Don't call you. You don't want to call Manchester United and talk about facilities and tech. You're waiting for that call from Google.
I'm committed to Omaha at this point. My kids live there, and I don't want to be far from them. Family is the most important thing to me, and that's where they are. And so staying firm and wanting to be where I am puts me in the best of both worlds.
All right, you're off the hot seat. What questions do you have for me?
Well, I wanted to ask you, I know you have so many resources and connections. The Omaha market's not that big. Tell me a little bit about what experience you have there and what you think could happen.
Well, don't have any experience recruiting directly to Omaha, but we just did a search for an executive and it was full remote. Globally full remote. They could work anywhere. So I think that's probably your best bet to get a full remote working opportunity, and you can be based in Omaha and then fly out and manage with a team of people managing the day-to-day facility. That might be the best scenario.
That's absolutely what I want.
All right, Steve, enjoyed the conversation and look forward to the possibility of working together.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. I feel good. I feel like I went in there and I represented the best version of myself that I could.
I thought Steve gave a really strong interview. He was sweating in the beginning of the interview. He wiped it away a little bit and sort of kept his stride. So that's a great competency to see in someone, that they can pivot under fire, under pressure, and really deliver a strong performance, at least verbally, through the interview. I think one of the challenges with Steve is going to be whether or not a hiring manager is comfortable that his variable experience in all these different industries is going to actually work for their industry. Because there's a good chance they're going to have somebody that's done exactly this job at a smaller level in their industry, and that's going to present a challenge for him.
Well, congratulations on completing the interview. I had the pleasure of getting to have my spy headphones on, so I got to hear your interviews. So I actually have some feedback for you, for maybe the first time ever in your career that you actually get feedback on an interview. But I'm seeing smiles. How are we feeling?
Super empowered, super positive. Like,
Yeah.
just you prepared us to just like bring it. So that's what I did, just owned it.
I
And
love
it felt
that.
great.
So I do have pieces of feedback for each of you. You all did things amazingly. You all have some areas that could even be improved. And one thing I did love, he asked you for questions at the end. And each of you came from a very honest, vulnerable position of, hey, you're an expert. Can you give me some information? That was really nice. That was very much a job shopper moment.
Interviewers want to see you ask great questions. They want the interview to feel like a conversation and see that you're thinking critically about the opportunity.
So, Steve, we'll start with you.
Okay.
You had this realness and this confidence.
I tried to. It came from a position of total honesty.
Yeah.
There's no point in being fake. If you can interview with Rory, you can interview with anyone. And
I think you did a
hopefully
good
I
job.
did.
And also, the web you spun of how you'd be great in the tech industry was glorious, but it took us a while to get there.
Yeah.
We could have skipped a lot of Rory's questioning had you really gotten to it at the top. I wrote down some notes here of some of the things I imagined you saying, like I'm a director of facilities for the tech industry.
Yeah.
I built IT server rooms and outfitted buildings with the right hardware. I've handled complex office moves. If you had stated those things about yourself instead of, well, let me talk about the camper vans and let me talk, like, you have it.
Yeah.
Everything I just listed, I mean, those are all true facts about you.
Fair point.
Treat your job interview like writing an article. Headline up top. Make sure the interviewer knows exactly how your past experience connects with the current position as soon as possible, especially if you have a bit of an unconventional background.
Stephanie, let's talk about your interview. One of the main messages we told all three of you is to go into the interview and to make sure you're giving examples, right? That it's tangible. And every question, boom, you had an example, which huge kudos to you. The example game was on point. The critique I will give you, I think that you could make your accomplishments more powerful.
Yes.
When you were talking about building the culture roadshow at Apple, everything you said was, we did this and then we met about this. It's okay to say, I built out this process and I was the one who came up with this idea. The team implemented it, obviously, but I came up with this idea and that kind of stuff. So really claim those things.
Companies would actually prefer that you say I instead of we in job interviews because they're looking to hire you, not your team. So claim your accomplishments and be explicit about what you contributed.
Well, Al, you're up. You really sat in the interview and were very much in the moment.
I just felt, okay, like I'm gonna give you 150% of Al Salerno.
It really showed a nice bout of confidence. So some areas for growth. Rory found you too good to be true. You were great in the interview. You were very positive about your past. We need to find a way to talk about your past that feels authentic.
Correct. How do I explain to somebody that, like, well, this job I left because there was no more opportunities left and they weren't utilizing my best skills. But then I went to another company and to no fault of their own, the same thing happened.
If you're going to talk about something less savory or negative, you use cushioning. So if I was to maybe talk about selecting a company that seemed to have poor management and was bleeding money, I might say, when I took the job, it sounded really exciting. It was in this industry I was really interested in. Unfortunately, the owner had never run a business before, and she had only been doing this for 3 years. And in hindsight, I probably would have taken that job, knowing that. But as a new business owner, she did the best she could. And notice, she did the best she could, that's cushioning. You're talking about some negative things, but you're cushioning it with empathy, understanding.
Cushioning keeps you from sounding like a victim in the interview. You're able to be honest while acknowledging the perspectives of others.
All right, so I am now going to head over to the conference room. I'm gonna meet with Rory. We're gonna discuss, and then we'll invite you in and announce a winner. All right.
Sounds good.
Hard work is done. Let's do it.
I feel that I am better prepared for the next time that I interviewed. I think there's always areas for improvement, always areas to improve upon.
I don't really feel I have too much competition, only because I feel that the other candidates, we all have different goals in mind.
Each one of them has their own strengths. They have a vast amount of experience, so I do really feel that both Steve and Al are my competition.
I do think I have a chance to be the one that Rory picks.
Rory, thank you so much for interviewing each of these 3 people. You really put them through the ringer, and it was great interviews. But the tough part is actually now, and that is selecting one of these 3 people. Tell me, how were you feeling about each of these candidates?
Well, we had 3 very different interviews, for sure. I thought that each of them hit their stride in the middle part of the interview, and some sort of landed the dismount, others didn't.
Okay, well, let's talk. So you met with Al first. What were your first impressions of Al?
It took him a long time to get to the human side, that beneath all of that expertise as an IT manager, that there was a person there. And I felt like it took too long to get to that. He could have showed a little more authenticity early on in the interview.
What stood out to you that you really liked about Al?
He's technically expert.
Yeah.
He's got really good experience in the IT function. You get a sense that if he's your IT guy, things are gonna run smoothly, they're gonna run under budget, and it's gonna be a well-oiled machine. I don't know though if you get much more than that.
Let's now talk about Stephanie. How was your interview with her?
Complex. I felt like the interviews from Al to Stephanie to Steve just increased in complexity. And there are some big questions I have about her background. I mean, number one, in 14 years, I think someone of that academic capability, somebody of that professional experience, she should probably be at the director level by now.
You're spot on. We've given her the nickname of the silver medal curse, in that she keeps getting into final stages with large top FANG tech companies and getting second place.
Wow.
And it's exactly what you're saying. I look at this as an employer, I say, yes.
How could I not interview her?
Right. And then she loses it by inches.
I'm a little concerned that she's extending the high potential phase of her career a bit too long.
Finally, you met with Steve.
What I liked about Steve is that most of his answers were delivered authentically. I mean, he gave experiences from his background, but you felt like he was doing it in a voice that was natural, and it felt like it came from his heart.
Yes, absolutely. But I do think you had to ask a lot of questions to unravel what was happening in the interview, so it took us a while.
That's right. He did not make it easy for me as an interviewer to understand sort of how to get at the actual material I needed.
If I were in Rory's seat, I think it would be a really, really tough decision to make.
I really feel the biggest competition I have is with myself.
I think we're always our own worst enemy, and we're our own best supporter as well.
Well, Rory and I deliberated, and this was not an easy decision. This was way harder than I expected.
That's right. Look, I've interviewed people for 20 years. Some days I interview people 8 or 9 at a time. You guys are better than 80% of the people I've interviewed. All of the interviews were very strong.
That being said, there were 2 interviews that stood above all of them. Steve and Stephanie, you both did the best. Now, Al, you were also incredible. The part that would put you over the edge is finding that authentic story about your past. Once you can show that true self, you are going to be unstoppable.
My biggest insight is that my biggest competition in the world is myself.
Okay, Stephanie, you brought such a level of polish to the interview. You brought so many great examples. You showed off your experience. Where we had some concerns was it's time to move up, right? You have so much potential, and you left some of that potential on the table when Rory would ask you certain questions about your profession and where your future's going. We really want to have that confidence in you and you to show that to us.
I think the biggest learning for me is that I need to have more confidence in myself, go out there and know the experience that I have and know my background.
And Steve, what I loved hearing from Rory is that you showed up as yourself in the interview and you had a great grasp of your experience and you showed that you have the expertise, you have the background where you can step up in a lot of situations.
You have a very unique background, as you are self-aware. And so I think when you have a unique background and you have some geographical constraints, you only want to work in Nebraska. There may not be a lot of opportunities, but for a few of them, you're going to be really spot on.
Absolutely.
Rory is amazing. To be selected, it would be everything. I'm extremely excited about the possibilities.
I also think that for all of you, you're qualified for your next role. It's not that you're not qualified, it's are you going to beat a slate of candidates that also want the same job? And that's where you really got to go from being an A- to an A+ interview with an A+ career trajectory that makes sense and that makes you really easy to place.
So now is the time for the decision. Stephanie, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to work with Rory under a contingency.
That's right. So, Stephanie, you've got an amazing background. You have such incredible high potential, but now it's time to really take that next step to really be a leader.
I'm so excited that I won the competition. I couldn't be happier.
If you want to be a director, look, we have $2 billion organizations we represent right now in North Carolina that I'm sure would be interested in your background. But they're looking for a leader, somebody that's going to go there, make a difference, and stay. So when the going gets tough, you got to stick it through. Can we count on you?
Absolutely, you can. I'm so excited to work with Rory. He mentioned there were director level positions in my area, and I can't wait to tackle those.
This is really how decisions are made in executive recruiting. It is close. Bronze, silver, gold. You are exceptional. You have an extraordinary career. You are exceptional. All of you are exceptional, but only one person gets the job. That's it, right? So these things are always going to be close.
When you're earlier in your career, you can win a job by feet, and then in your later in your career, you win a job by inches.
Oh, beautifully
You
stated.
are all winning it by inches, and that's what's going to happen for each of your next jobs you land, because it just gets that razor thin.
This experience has literally been a springboard. I'm actually feeling so good that I feel like I won today.
Well, congratulations. Thank you all for being a part of this journey, and huge congratulations to you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. I'm finally happy to shed the silver medal curse and finally be selected and promoted to gold medalist.
I so look forward to working with you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you so much. This entire experience has been really life-changing. Obviously, Madeline and Rory believed in me, and it's time that I show that to the world.
Job searching is a skill completely independent of you being good at your job, which is why I have dedicated my life to this work to make sure that people's job offers match their true potential. We tend to think that our story and our job search challenges are unique, but we had the pleasure of meeting 6 people with vastly different backgrounds, and each had overlapping struggles. They realized that if you aren't completely confident in exactly the career you're going for and how you are a compelling candidate, a company will never be confident in you. Being a job shopper isn't a luxury. It is a necessity to be a competitive candidate. It's the shift from hoping a company notices you and gives you whichever role they see fit to shopping for exactly what you want. The clarity of exactly what you offer to the company is what makes it an easy yes for them. And that's what happens when you move from being a job seeker to a job shopper.